Back when I was new to VRChat, everything was so surreal and mind-blowing. There were so many cool things in this free game that I couldn't experience in other VR games. I started out on my Quest 2 and tried out all the popular worlds, mostly in private or with friends. The thing is, I went into VRChat as a 23-year-old, so it was a jarring experience for me to go into public lobbies full of kids screaming and throwing racial slurs. But you'd be surprised how many adults play this game. It's just really hard to find them in public lobbies. I guess this is a guide for you fellow adults who are new to VRChat and socially awkward as well. Whether you're on Quest only or a PC VR player, I hope this guide helps you. Let's just run down some basic IRL tips before we head into the game. Make sure your headset and devices are charged. Have some water, a fan, or some form of cooling while playing. This is to make sure you don't get dehydrated since you will be sweating a lot. Us gamers are known for our physical prowess, of course. And I guess make sure you have enough room around you to move your hands. Now that's out of the way, let's talk about VRChat. Full disclosure, this guide will be based on my personal experience and what I've learned throughout the years of playing this game. These aren't rules set in stone, but it's a good place to start. Most of these tips are probably for fellow loner or awkward gamers, so keep that in mind. Tip number 1, world interactions. VRChat is filled with worlds made by other players. The problem with that is that not every world creator is a game dev, so the usual tips and tricks you're used to in other games might not always be present in the worlds you'll be visiting. I started playing this game either by myself or with a friend who was also new, so we really didn't know what we were doing. We'd hop into a world and wander around for hours without knowing what to do. Then we got bored and hop off. The main thing I didn't do at that time was interact with things. Being a virtual reality game, you have to interact with your surroundings. There are 3 types of world interactions you have to know about. The first is the point interaction type. This is when you point at an interface or a screen or a UI to select the available options. Most of the time they're seen on screens, but some are words on the walls or immersively integrated into the world, such as tiny screens or actual tablets. Always be on the lookout for them in worlds because some aren't as obvious as you think. The second is the physical interaction type. These are the buttons, doorknobs, levers, physical objects, or anything that you can get your hands on. There are doors you can open by pressing any part of the door, but some you'd need to reach for the doorknob in order to interact with them. A good rule of thumb for knowing when you can interact with an object is to hover your hand around the area. If there are a lot of buttons on a panel, sometimes just hovering your hand over it will show you which buttons you can press. Do note that some buttons, levers, and objects you can interact with even if there's no prompt that appears.
But Wong, how can I tell which one I can interact with and which I can't?
Well, I hear you, funny British man. There's no real way of knowing, so just press all the buttons until something happens. The third is the proximity interaction type. These interactions are usually automatically triggered whenever you or a player approaches things. These can be closed doors, portals, windows, or anything you can try to wedge yourself into. If you get transported, then you found a door. If you just fall off the world, congratulations! You found the bug door! Some worlds also do other things when you go near objects, so it's not always doors, portals, and gates. Sometimes, it's the monsters. Tip number 2, public avatars and the Chamber of Secrets. Since you're new to VRChat, you'll probably be wearing one of the available fallback avatars. You can choose from this list in the Avatar tab, but if you want a more complex and specific avatar, then there is the option of avatar worlds. You can either search for themed avatar worlds or use an avatar search world to find what you're looking for. These worlds are usually filled with pedestals, so you can interact with them. Interacting with these will let you change into the displayed avatar. If you're on Quest, then you can only choose the avatars with the blue and green symbol on the top right of the image. Now, you might be wondering, what do these avatar ratings even mean? If it says very poor, more or less this is what you'd look like to other players. But it basically means it takes a lot to load for you and for other people. This doesn't mean you can't ever use these avies. That's slang for avatar, by the way. It just means that if a lot of people have very poor avies together, then someone's Quest or PC is definitely not having a good time.
Wait, dude, it's getting hot in here. Oh my PC.
Some avatars have extra features you can access by pulling up the radial menu by holding the menu button. By opening your radial menu, you can access the expressions and see if the creator left any cool stuff. These can range from color swaps, weapons, props, all the way to particles and animations. Tip number 3. Fantastic worlds and where to find them. Now that we covered world interactions and avatars, let's talk about worlds. The main selling point of VRChat is chatting and talking to people. But we awkward as fuck, so let's talk about the worlds. There are 2 types of worlds, PC-only worlds and Quest-compatible worlds. If you're on PC, then you can go to any world. If you're on Quest, then you can only go to Quest-compatible worlds, which you can see on the top right. These worlds are mostly made by massively talented and passionate creators. There are multiple kinds of worlds out there, such as game worlds, exploration worlds, chill and hangout worlds, roleplay worlds, ERP worlds, we'll talk about that in another vid, and avatar worlds. If you're not sure what kind of world you're currently in, you can open the big menu and look at the description and tags of the world. If there are some worlds you really like, you can check out the worlds made by the creator by pressing their names on their world author in the big menu. This will bring you to their profile, where you can scroll down and see the other worlds they've uploaded or worlds they've saved. If you really like a world, you can also favorite it so you can revisit the world later. Tip number 4. People and the denizens of VRChat. I'm not gonna lie, VRChat is definitely full of weird people. Hell, I'm weird as fuck too. But so is anyone in this blue ball called Earth. I can't teach you how to make friends. You can probably check out these videos for that. But what I can tell you is to treat people with respect. The other players in the world are people too. In a game with full anonymity, people tend to just release their hatred and pain towards other people, since there's literally no consequences in this kind of environment. Kind of like the Wild West of the old internet, there's no true moderation in VRChat. There are definitely moderators in some public group instances, but other than that, the people you'll meet won't always have your best interest in mind. I'm not trying to tell you not to make friends. Go out there and meet people, but make sure you know your boundaries and when to enforce them. If there are some people who are harassing or verbally assaulting you, you can mute them by opening your menu, pointing towards them, and pressing the mute or block option. The best way to experience VRChat, in my personal opinion, is to try it out with a friend. You can both play on desktop or have another friend on an Android phone with you for Quest-only users. Yeah, that's a thing now and I still can't believe it. P.S. Please don't go around trying to form romantic relationships with kids and minors. For the love of the Emperor, please keep it in your pants and be an adult. So many friendships and relationships are ruined with adults trying to get it on with kids. Please, just don't. I don't know why I have to tell you this, but a lot of people don't get the memo. That's all the general tips I can give you guys. So let's recap. Tip number 1, interact with the world and the objects within it. Tip number 2, avatars are openly available for you to find and use. Just look for them in avatar worlds or avatar search worlds. Tip number 3, amazing worlds are out there and can be found in the tabs. And tip number 4, remember to use your mute or block button if you're still being harassed by someone. I hope these tips will help you guys. I made this video because I wish I had a beginner's guide video just like this when I was starting out. I've learned a lot of lessons the long way and the hard way. So hopefully this could save you some time and heartbreak. If you like this video, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. I probably won't be posting much beginner-friendly content after this, but if you would like to learn more tips and tricks, you can check out these videos. If you want to try out a cool PvP shooting world, then check out this video. See ya!